Alright everyone, welcome back to Otaku About It, the podcast where we talk about any and everything in otaku culture. I'm your host, Shelby.
Co-host Lawrence.
Your constantly reoccurring guest, Stephanie Stone.
Guest of honor.
Soon to be just permanent host.
It's high time.
Alright, so we initially were going to talk about sexualization in anime and cosplay, but that kind of led to a...
What do you call otome games?
Yeah, otome game, 2D versus 3D
2D.
waifus.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we brought up the point that body proportions
Yeah.
are quite different in, 2D anime girls versus the 3D real life.
And then from there, we kind of talked about how, that's why... From that point, I think it went to, the whole 2D versus 3D debate that you see a lot of the time online, where most of the time I see it in the context of guys being like, oh, 2D versus 3D, do you like a 2D waifu? Do you like a 3D waifu?
Okay.
And then from there we went to otome games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like otome games are more popular for girls.
Yeah, because that's how you get your husbando.
Okay. What's the equivalent of that for male?
Just anime in general.
Yeah, just
I feel
anime and hentai, I feel.
Yeah.
Because I feel like guys don't necessarily... I feel like they aren't as invested in storylines and stuff like that. Because watching hentai for the plot is a joke. People don't care about that. I feel like guys, their idea of a waifu most of the time is unless it's an anime waifu.
I feel like most of the time aren't they anime waifus?
I guess so.
I mean, I guess I don't watch enough hentai to recognize hentai waifus. But
I don't think I do either. I don't.
But most of the time I see it's they're carrying around the body pillow with
Rem.
Rem or
What's
like
the other
Nami.
Amelia.
Or Amelia or Diva.
Yeah.
I guess it's just kind of passively when they're watching anime they attach to a girl, but
or they just choose the girl with the biggest boobs.
Yeah, basically which girl's the hottest. It depends. Well, their character too, because I feel in Darling in the Franxx, people love 02 because of her behavior.
But people also like Ichigo.
For her personality.
Yeah. So there's always options. But in Shogeki, it's for me, it's Megumi,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. I feel like the general waifu choice would be Erina.
But she's it's if you like tsundere.
That's true.
A lot of it really just kind of boils down to your personal preference, and there's usually theme. Because it's I feel people have the same general type of waifu from show to show, and I feel that's how you get reoccurring thematic waifus 2B and Diva, kind of
Very similar.
in a sense, or Hestia, you know how there's always waifus that are super big. I feel they follow. There's something they all have in common.
What is that?
The boobs.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, generally I think
the
it's just the boobs, yeah.
Because 2B's very... her outfit has that really high slit, which is super scandalous, and then Hestia's weird dress thing has a lot of cleavage.
Who's Hestia?
She's from Danmachi. Your brother really
likes that. From she's around to pick up girls.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know that she was really big, and Asuna from Sword Art, right? And then people really like Rem. Yeah. She's a maid girl, so.
But maids are some sort of fetish for some people. But
I think it's just girls that are high in sexual appeal, basically.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I mean, boobs is kind of a part of it, but it's for Rem. I feel it was
Rem is she
people
never
got in this. People were invested in the story. I never watched Re:Zero, but I heard so much about all of a sudden when the internet became divided between Rem and Amelia.
Well, I watched Re:Zero, but I think one of the reasons why people liked Rem was because she was very caring, and I can see why that is waifu material.
That is real waifu material.
Because it's she'll take care of me no matter how much I fuck up.
Yeah, I feel Rem was definitely a big diversion from previous waifus.
Waifu standard.
Yeah, because I feel previous waifus to that were just whichever one was drawn the most sexualized, or had that either a tsundere archetype, or just were very flirtatious. But then when Rem came in, she was more of like the caretaker.
The wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The motherly.
wholesome.
Yeah.
But then still had that like appeal of like, oh, it's a maid girl, you know, type of thing.
She also had a twin.
Yeah, but no one cared
No,
about
I'm
her.
joking.
Yeah, no one cared about Ram.
I don't know. I think this concept of waifu is always like, I mean, I've been in the anime scene for like a long time, but I'm just recently coming to terms with like the concept of waifu.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's very
But I
interesting.
feel like it's been around for like a long time.
I mean,
That's the thing.
I've always had like my favorite girl, but I don't think I've had like a waifu kind of concept.
I think it's because like I feel like the terms kind of evolved. Because I feel like in the past, maybe like best girl was kind of like the common term, and like these days, it's like people are like, oh, she's waifu, which is sort of similar to like, oh, she's best girl.
I guess so. Like the lingo is different now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also like it's really odd because I have two sisters that watch anime, and they've had like husbandos, and I've never had an affinity for a 2D female character as much as they've had for a 2D male character. So like for them, it was like my sister liked like Duo Gundam.
Oh yeah,
and my other sister liked Quattro.
Really? I really liked Hero.
Yeah.
Even though he's
I
like
have not watched it.
he's a jerk, but
Yeah, no, see,
that's
like
so funny. I feel like I don't know. It's really interesting because like growing up, I always had like my like favorite dude from like shows and stuff like that.
and how did you like describe that affinity?
I mean, like a lot of like my personal favorite type for a lot of them is like they'd be like dudes that were like rebellious but like caring.
But like you understand, like you understood, you weren't delusional. You were like, oh, this is something I like in a 3D person, so I need to find that. Versus like I'm attracted to this 2D person.
When I was 12, no, I was like, no, they're my husband. I'm marrying them. Like, it was like a full on thing, and like a lot of my friends are like the same way too.
Where they're like they just don't
Yeah, like you
understand.
pick like one of my
this is never
friends.
gonna
Like,
happen.
it was just like I mean like yeah like we knew that, but like we just like pretended we were like whatever, that doesn't matter. Like because I had friends that were like their husband was like, or I guess husbando was like Sora, another one's like Inuyasha.
Yeah, the Inuyasha.
Yeah.
But I think it's dancing that line between like, oh, like I'm in a relationship with them.
Well, I feel like I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna look for a real life person.
Yeah.
Because I have this.
I mean, like at the
character.
time too, like we're also 12, so it's like I feel like it's like when you're like young, anyways, and you're like pretending to have like this relationship with a fictional character. I feel like well, you're also like a silly little like.
Yeah, I mean,
12-year-old.
maturity is not evolved yet.
And I feel like it's
interesting.
because I feel like the terms like husbando and waifu more so get thrown around for like older people. Because it's like, I mean, like, when I'm on Facebook scrolling and I see, like, my fellow, like, 20-year-olds talking about, like, husbandos and waifus. It's mostly waifus, but I feel like it's, like, a little bit... I feel like it's, like, a little more...
But waifus get
different.
thrown around so often nowadays.
yeah,
I feel like waifu doesn't apply only to 2D girls now. Waifu applies to, like, real girls.
Well, that's the whole point of, like, the 2D versus, like, 3D debate.
Yeah. So, it's like, what do you have to say about that? Like, what do you mean about that?
I mean, like, a lot of it's just kind of, like... Because, like, people will use the term for both, and I feel like it just kind of depends on, like, what people are comfortable with. And I think, like, something I was saying earlier is that, like, I think 2D is a lot more accessible for a lot of people who are really, like, shy. And that's where, like, otome games came in. Was, like, for girls, like, it's... Like, if you're a shy girl and you don't know how to approach guys, but, like, you like aggressive guys, how is that, like, gonna work, you know? When you're shy and, like, you're... not
Then you
really
want them to
approaching
just
people
take-
anyways, and it's like you like people who are like assertive, but then like you also have like the real life society where aggressive guys more often than not are really creepy.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you
see,
don't
that's what
actually
I think is odd though, because if you like look at some otome games, like with the aggressive guys, if a real person were to
that's
come
the
up
thing.
to you and like put you down or like you know,
say the things that like they do in like otome games, it's really like
Well, hold on, but that's the funny thing about it, though, because I feel like those kinds of games paint a picture for, like, dudes that get the completely wrong message of how they treat a girl. And then,
What do you
like,
mean?
for example, like, you guys just said, like, it'd be really weird to have someone in real life say these kinds of things or treat you in that certain way, right?
yeah, but it's not like guys play otome games and get like their ideas of how to behave from them.
You say that, but there's people that do play it and then they do pick out on these cues. Like, for example, You haven't seen Gundam Wings, have you? Gundam Wing?
I watched a little bit of it when I was
So
younger.
like Hero.
Are you talking about Hero rejects the girl?
Oh my gosh! Like that is like the
so
lamest
cold-hearted.
thing. Like you know
What happens?
That's
I
like
haven't
Renoa.
seen it.
So Renoa, oh, not her name, Renoa. Like
I forgot her name. But like the girl, the like main girl,
forgot
like,
her name.
was it like Reina or something like that?
something like that.
But like she writes like a love confession.
Not like a love confession. She
Kinda thing,
invites
like-
him to
or what
her
was it?
birthday party.
Oh, that's what it was. I don't know.
She invites him to her
She's
birthday.
giving him like
She's
a
very
letter.
like high class.
Yeah.
So she's like coming down to this commoner or like this new person like Hero, because he's just there as a transfer student or whatever. But she invites him and then she says like, "Hey, I'd like to have you over for my birthday party."
Super nice.
And he just like hella
Rips it in her
slow
face.
motion rips it in
I
her
think
face.
I've seen like
and like
a
yeah.
meme of it.
Just like drops it.
yeah, but see that kind of thing, I feel like it's looking at it now, it's like I always think that's like super funny because I see like
It's the playing hard to get.
it's not the playing hard to get. I think it's just silly in the sense where like I think as a young boy, like you said, a 12-year-old
Yeah, the
version
thing-
of yourself.
well,
If you watch that, you're like, that's how you get girls to like you, and
Well, 'cause
it's
that's the
just
thing.
not the way you do it.
Like a lot. The thing is that like I mean like we have like I mentioned earlier like we have all these ideas of like people will throw on husbando and waifu like now, but like a lot of it also stems from like previously mentioned like. I was also like 12 and had like husbandos and stuff like that. And it's like you were saying, like I feel like a lot of these ideas of relationships also get formed.
or attraction.
Yeah, are like formed around like that age too. It's like you have like these ideas of
Oh
how,
my gosh!
people
Like,
behave.
can I hear stories of like you guys' interactions of like people trying to like play
You mean like
husbando
really,
or like waifu?
really crazy interactions?
Yeah, no, I like. Have you ever had that?
I've never had that.
Oh, you've never had that?
No,
Okay.
I was closet
But-
nerd for
Yeah.
so long, so I
So you,
stayed
my
away.
God.
so you had a 3D experience the whole time.
Yeah, well,
Basically,
sure.
normal people, not people affected by like anime. Because I feel
Yeah.
I feel like if you're in anime while you're like going through puberty, your like relationship ideals are so skewed.
yeah.
Like how
Yeah.
you think you should act, because you know, like when you go to like anime conventions and people try to behave like anime characters, and it just
Oh my
hurts you inside.
God.
It's like that, but in romance. And when you're growing up with it, like when people that are into anime try to flirt with you,
Yeah, it's like, come on, dude, this is
cringy.
real life.
Yeah.
it's so bad.
We should definitely do that on another,
That's a good
Oh,
one.
yeah.
another podcast.
But I actually want to hear
Anime romance.
Yeah.
the topic.
Anime
is-
romance. Do they have it right?
Where people try to act like when 3D people try to act like 2D people, basically, to bring it back like to the topic. Like,
It doesn't work.
yeah,
That's part of the reason why I like 3D like live action, at least for anime adaptations, are like really bad.
oh yeah, I guess
Because
like,
there's a lot of like that kind of concept and like people that act
like the behaviors.
like for example, like even though I love my boy Bakugo, if there was a real person like Bakugo, I'd be like, this person's
Would
like,
not
so
associate
irritable.
with it. Yeah.
Too, like,
Exactly.
a lot of people would claim Bakugo as like their husbando, but it's like
In real life, it's
I
like, who
don't
would
see
be
it
like
working.
that?
Yeah, like you wouldn't like if some guy actually acted like Bakugo, you wouldn't like see him in school and be like, "Oh, I want him to be like my boyfriend." You'd be like, "This guy sucks. He's so mean."
It's sort of
Yeah.
like no.
But see, I think that's the appeal of husbandos and waifus is that so you have the interactions you see on the screen, but then you're free to make up
Everything else.
everything else
Yeah.
for that story. So it's basically just giving your dream, you know,
Like, you fill the
girlfriend.
void.
Yeah.
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 It's giving them a body in
Uh-huh.
this animated form
Basically.
to run out your dreams and fantasies.
Okay, wait, hold on. So since we're on the topic of like dreams and fantasy and stuff like that, so now that we're in the realm of cosplay, all right, translate that to like because cosplay is the closest thing you'll ever get to like that 3D version of your life.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons why cosplay has like kind of like emerged and like kind of grown up so much or blow up so much. Not necessarily like that isn't a blanket statement, but I feel like that is a factor, like why people have an affinity.
Because they get to see their favorite characters in real life.
Yes,
But like that's like half the point of like cosplay.
that's, like,
even
only
like
a
not
factor.
within like
it is an
like
element.
waifu.
It is an
Kinda,
element. It is
yeah.
an element.
I mean like that it's like been so receptive, I guess, like subculturally, like that it's like gotten as big as it has. But I mean there's other things. There are other things like yeah.
there
Well,
are things.
I mean, like in the beginning, like I'm sure, like the reason why the first people cosplayed in the like first place was because they wanted
Share
to
the love
show,
of
yeah.
yes.
But I mean, like I would agree that like I feel like it's grown in reception because more people that, for example, would feel like one person was best girl would like be more excited to see a certain cosplay, and then like more and more people would like do that cosplay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like cosplay in itself has like many outlets and variables that play into like why it's gotten so popular. But in the context of like, I guess, waifu in 2D and like 3D, like I think cosplay is the best bridge that translates to, because
well, in theory, but it's like there's always still going to be the debates of like, do you prefer like the 2D version of your waifu or the 3D version of your waifu? Like, do you prefer like the original drawn version, or do you like cosplays of it? And some people will say like, sure, like the cosplay's great, but they very much like prefer like having a dakimakura of like Yoko than a cosplayer of Yoko.
Sure. But I guess in a way, like, what I was trying to get to was like, have you guys, from personal experience, been more attracted to some individual in cosplay?
Because they're cosplaying my favorite person?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Like, I don't think I've ever felt an attraction, like, to the person, like, themselves because of the cosplay. I feel like if I'm attracted to someone that's cosplaying, it's because they're an attractive person who happens to be cosplaying, not that I find them attractive because they're cosplaying, like, a certain character, if that makes sense.
I would agree.
Because it's like...
I feel, because we have the ability to separate...
Yeah, that's the thing.
2D and 3D.
Exactly. Yeah. Because some people don't have that, also.
Oh,
like, some people can't separate that, but it's like... I feel like I can separate it, and, like... You can tell when there's people that can't separate it because they'll treat you like the character.
Yeah.
That's when you know that, like, people don't differentiate. Is if they see the character.
It's very interesting, right? But, like, guys, if you guys are on the other end listening to this, like, let us know if you guys experiencing this. Yeah. But I, on the other hand, like, sometimes I understand, like, 2D and 3D, but sometimes I do feel like there's some, I guess, like, 2D aspect, like, affinity I have for the character that kind of, like, carries over when I see someone else cosplaying a character that I like. For example, like Yoko, I'll be like, wow, she's like attractive, you know, like, cause she's Yoko, you know? Or like, oh, she's Tifa, you know? Or like, you know, it's just like that affinity. But then, but it's like if I saw them out of the character, I'll be like, oh.
Is it because of the character, or because they're those characters specifically are sexualized?
No, it's just like if I like a certain character and that individual happens to like do my, I guess do that character justice, I would be like, that's really freaking cool, and I just can't help but be like, have an affinity for that character, like that person,
visually.
Because of the affinity I have existing for that character already.
That's interesting.
Like for me, at least. Like I know for you guys said you guys can separate the two.
Yeah. I mean, like, I do have, like, if I see someone cosplaying a character that I like and they do good craftsmanship, like, I have respect for them, but I don't think I ever gain, like, attraction for them. So that's really interesting to hear. Like, I don't ever, like, Link and, like, Cloud are, like, some of my, like, husbandos.
Oh, about Ed?
And, of course, Edward. Edward's, like, the king husbando.
You didn't say that.
Because he's, like, the king. But, like, you don't see a lot of Edward cosplayers compared to, like, the other two. I mean, like, and you also do Cloud, so I guess, like, you're just around. But, like, I guess, like, Link cosplayers more so, like...
Wish I also did Link.
Yeah, I know. Okay, yes. But, like, Link cosplayers, it's not like I just, like, automatically become attracted to, like, Link cosplayers just because they're cosplaying Link. It's, like, if I see a good Link cosplayer, like, I get respect for them. I'm like, oh, like, they did, like, the character. I really like Justice. But I don't ever feel, like, attracted to them. Unless, like, I see their face and I'm like, oh, like, they have, like, a very, like... good, you know, like, set of facial features.
I agree.
Like...
No, I agree. I agree. Absolutely. If I don't like automatically like, it's not a like on-off switch where it's like if they're cosplaying my waifu, air quotes. This is air quotes. If they're cosplaying my waifu, I'm automatically attracted to them. It's not an on-off switch. It's more like if they're cosplaying my waifu, then they've got my attention where I'm like, well, I'm interested. Like, I'm looking, and then. It's kind of like a nice book cover where you're like, oh, this is a nice book, like, I'm going to look into it. Versus, like, this book doesn't look interesting at all, like, the book cover. And so I'm not even going to look at it. Because there's, like, this bias I have. Like, there's this infinity that exists. Like, there's a predisposition I have. Yeah. So, You guys have that too? No? Like...
Not really, no. Not for me.
Not for you? Okay.
I don't know. Because, I mean, I think that the way you're talking about it, it comes more to just the visual, like, physical attraction of it. Which, I mean, yes, I can say someone's, like, physically attractive, but I'm not going to be like, oh, like, because they're cosplaying, you know...
A character
I enjoy. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, like, I want to date them.
Oh, no. Like, that's not me either. Like, I understand the separation between attraction and, like, I want to invest time and build a relationship with someone. That's not the same thing. But like, but you do have a form of attraction, though, right?
Well, I mean, if anyone's cosplaying your favorite character, of course you're gonna be more like drawn to that
they're gonna draw your.
Okay, that's what I was. Okay. I just wanted to clarify because that's kind of like what I was coming at.
Oh, yeah. The entire way that you were talking about it made it sound like you were getting like more inclined to be attracted to people that cosplay.
Well, you can be attracted to people and not like want to be in a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Wait, so then are you saying that you're attracted or drawn to them?
No, I mean, what do you mean by drawn to them?
Like you're more likely to pay more attention to one cosplay over the other because it's a character that you recognize and you're a fan of versus you're like attracted to them like aesthetically because like
of who they are?
Yeah. Like because of like character that they're cosplaying.
It would be the former. They're drawn to them.
Okay.
Like because of their aesthetic and their character choice.
Anyways, I think that's why people like, or at least girls like otome games, because I feel like, at least to go back to the topic, that guys choose waifus, this is just my opinion, not, fact or anything, guys choose waifus based off appearance, and girls choose husbandos based off both appearance, but also the emotional connection, which is like, in otome games, you're playing a storyline, and like,
that's true.
You have, like, they're your protector, or, like, they're, like, the bad boy, and so, like...
That makes sense, but then what about, like, people that, like fantasize Bakugo? Because he has no...
Well, that's different, though, because she's saying her examples within an otome game.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think otome games are very popular with girls, is because you get to play a part in that story with this pretty... anime boy who like falls for you and says sweet things to you, and in quotes. So like that's why I think they're popular, and generally like most husbandos like come out of otome games. I feel like at least more recently, because since they've had such a spike in popularity, like Mystic Messenger was like huge, or well, it still is huge.
It's still pretty big. Yeah. Interesting.
And like so many people are like like Zen or 707, like which one, or because they're more immersive and like you play a part, and so it's more realistic, I guess.
I have no clue.
It's like Fire Emblem. You get to choose a wife from Fire Emblem.
I guess so. No, yeah, you're right.
It's like a very extended version of the Fire Emblem romance
except
part.
With like a smaller pool of people, and there's no like the entire point of it is to build romance. That's like kind of what it is. That's like an otome game.
Yeah.
But like Fire Emblem is like you have like a wider pool of people to choose from, and you can also kind of choose the same sex sometimes, not for everyone. And then there's the battle aspect and all that, but
minor details.
Because and I don't know why we didn't bring up Fire Emblem sooner, but like it's a really good example of like why people will get like invested. They'll like look, but like a lot of the time too, when a new when a new Fire Emblem game is like announced and they drop the character roster, a lot of the time people will pick who they're gonna marry based off of looks.
Yeah.
Automatically.
Because like that's all you get.
Yeah, but it's like you could also like wait and see. Like some people just know
personality. Yeah, you like the most.
But it's like you can be like, oh, like these characters look interesting. I can get to know them in the game and see which one I like more. But some people are like, I'm going to marry this person, and they're like,
I think, I get what you're saying, and I think a lot of it comes from like a younger audience perspective, where you pay attention to your eyes, because that's.
That's the first thing you
encounter. And in Fire Emblem, you can't get rejected because
Yeah, that's true.
You're always gonna win.
That's the appeal of otome games and like stuff like that, is that you basically
get what you want.
You can't really get rejected. I mean,
although Mystic Messenger, you can not get who you want.
Yeah.
Based on your choices.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. That's like the only...
Shelby's like, oh!
I love Mystic Messenger, okay.
It was really interesting. Because, like, depending on your options and, like, how you would treat people, like, you could unlock the romance route for a different person if you weren't careful. If you're nice to everyone, like, you won't get...
Well, that's very interesting, though.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, because since you're attracted to...
Girls.
But Mystic Messenger is male.
Guys. I mean, I could still...
How does that translate over, like, at least from your perspective?
In my perspective?
I mean, like, they're not real.
Yeah, they're not real.
So...
But I enjoy the conversation, and, like, it's not like I'm, like, blind to the, like, guys' attractiveness. Like, they're still really cute. Yeah. And, like...
Oh, okay.
So if you were to meet
a guy that was like that, you'd be like, hey,
oh, baby. But then that's like 2D versus 3D.
No, yeah, that's where you separate, like,
okay,
it's just for more
because they're 2D guys, that it's, I feel like...
Yeah.
That's very, okay.
That I choose it for the enjoyment of it. Not because, like, I'm like, oh, I want to find a boyfriend who's exactly like...
So you fantasize that idea. You understand that this is solely for the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's still enjoyable. Like, I can put whatever words they say to anyone. Yeah. And, like, make that my fantasy. But because it's within the game and I have to choose someone, like, it's just more for the enjoyment factor, I suppose. I mean... Not for... Like, I'm not, like...
Seeking.
Yeah. Like... It's separating, you know, games and reality.
Okay.
Because, I mean, like, I feel like it's, like... They're not real people, so it's, like... Reading the conversations and like the joke in like Mystic Messenger too is that they're always concerned about if you ate or not and stuff like that. The format of Mystic Messenger is like a text messaging thing.
Although they do call you too.
Yeah, you can hold it up to your ear and have like phone conversations with them.
Mm-hmm. Do they have actual voice acting?
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like immersive. It's fun. You should try it out. It's fun. You have to wake up at specific times to get their phone calls.
That's
and
so
stuff. Annoying?
Go to sleep, man.
But it's like this experience of like having a person care for you, and I feel like that's a lot of like the appeal. Mm-hmm. And like with 2D, it's like again like you can fill in the gaps. Like it doesn't have to actually be like a real guy like having all these feelings for you. It's like a person.
Yeah, it's like you make it what you want. Which I think is what the whole appeal of Waifus and Husbandos is.
Yeah, I agree. The whole thing about 2D is like it's tailored to whatever you want, and that's why they're so appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is true. No, you're right. It's very true. Like that. I like you guys touched upon another topic that was like really deep and like I was thinking about a lot. Was like the concept of you know, if you never actually or not never, but like if you're romantic about a certain idea. Mm-hmm. It's always the best idea. Like for like, this is like completely off topic, but I just want to drop like it's kind of like the idea of if you don't have like parents, then because I always wondered like you know sometimes like because I mean I didn't have like the best parents, but like I mean I still have parents. So like sometimes people can be like, well at least you have parents, but in a way it's kind of like if you never had parents, you're always romantic about the idea of like how your parents would have been, and so you're like man. The idea of having a parents would be super cool. Or like, man, if I had a, like, this is like coming from like your 60s, like this, if you guys are listening, if you've never dated before, you know, you always have the idea of like, if I had a girlfriend, she would be like this. If I had a boyfriend, she would be like this.
Yeah, people have ideas of like when you're in a relationship.
Romantic until they actually get one and they're like, oh. It's not exactly what
we're kind of talking about this like in the car too, like being romantic about the idea of like dates and stuff like that, like going out and doing cute date things, but then like when you get in a relationship, like you don't do that.
No, but that's the thing too, like the same thing like with like because all it comes like it boils down to like relationships because it's just the concept of like your parents, right? Like you're romantic with the idea, like that's one of the reasons like like at least I was disappointed with my parents. It was because like I was romantic with the idea of like how parents should be. And it's just like that just didn't play out for me. So I was like, oh, it was a letdown. But for people that didn't have, I guess, parents, this isn't to say like y'all like are like hyped and stuff. There's like parenting is like it's a whole different thing, and there's good and bad parents, you know. And it's more like, you know, sometimes it's cool. I guess I mean sometimes it's like I mean I don't want to say like it's cool to not have parents, but I'm saying like you know. It's kind of like when you haven't experienced it yourself, you're always romantic with what you imagine it to be.
To piggyback off of that and bring it back to like 2D and 3D, I feel like that's why it's hard at times for people to cope with like 3D because it's like if it's not how you imagined, like you can leave.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's like devastating.
Very disappointing. Yeah.
And that's what makes it like difficult. But 3D is also the only thing that we have. That's the only thing that's real.
I think that's the thing ultimately. Where, if you guys are listening, it's more like you have to like bridge from your imagination to, reality, and be like, well,
the perfect husbando can't exist in 3D, but
you can find certain like some of those qualities within a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make things work. Yeah.
And part of it is kind of like, it's also not just the other person, but it's also you as the individual. You are not a perfect person too, so you have things you need to fix too.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good thing to bring up.
That is a good point.
Because like, it's only in 3D relationships that you can get that feedback and make, have that road to self-improvement with another person. Whereas in 2D, like, because you're the only person like fueling the relationship, you can't self-improve by yourself, really. Like, because the waifu or husbando that you imagine will always like love you in your head for however you are.
Yeah. So I think that's like it's a good like playing field. But I mean, ultimately, I think it's like to bridge out into reality. Just like in all aspects of video games, I think video games are like really cool and valuable because they're a reflection of real life. And so like, I think if you don't understand that concept, you miss the point of a video game. Just like, it's like the moral of the story. It's like you missed the moral of the story. You guys want to add something? It just got real deep really quick. I think we should come back and talk about like a topic that's like behaviors or like archetypes in anime that like gets translated into real life. Yeah. Oh my god. Dude, I have stories. I think we all have stories, right?
Yeah. I have a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll definitely come back to that for sure.
Yes, for sure. Put a note of that.
Yeah.
If you guys have a story, like, please, we'd love to hear it. If you don't mind sharing, send it to
Talk about it on Instagram. Or leave a comment on YouTube.
If you feel like you don't want to talk, you don't want to leave your name, you can put anonymous.
Do you have an email?
Yeah, or send us an email at otakuboutitpodcast@gmail.com. But I think with that, we will end this episode. Thank you guys for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you guys always for listening.
Yeah.
We'll talk again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.